Okay, yeah, it's not an F-14 and it's not a J-7E, and no, you can't really call this thing the king of top tier anymore. But that doesn't mean it's not competitive, because it absolutely is, and it's still one of the best planes in the game. First off, let's talk about the swing wing. Just like the F-14, the MLD is able to move its wings forwards and backwards depending on the needs of the situation. You could either have this in auto or you could manually move them yourself. I personally use a combination of both. The majority of the time I have it set on auto, because frankly you don't really need to have them fully extended that often. Typically it's only in the late game where you actually have to put them out all the way. Also, I don't remember if this is how it was originally when I was playing the MLD, but at the beginning of each match I will put it all the way to 0% on the runway and then switch it back to auto. So once you actually need to fully extend your wings if you get into a dogfight or something, all you have to do is push whatever key you have binded to toggle it back to the manual wing sweep mode, and the game will remember where you had it set to last time, in this case 0%. So instead of having to switch modes and then extend it all the way out, all you have to do is push one button and it'll be at 0%. I'm sure this was always a thing, but I don't remember doing this in the past. I probably just didn't try it, but it makes things significantly easier. Also, side note about having your wings fully extended outwards, even if you have that set on 0%, the wings won't fully extend outwards until you get at a slow enough speed. I don't remember exactly what speed that is, but it seems like the wings will kind of stop halfway until you get to that speed, which is really pretty slow. Once you are down to that speed though, and those wings become fully extended, you kind of turn like crazy, and hold energy really well while doing it. In my opinion, this is ultimately why this plane is still one of the most competitive planes at top tier. It's kind of unfortunate that top tier is determined by who shoots their missiles at the people that aren't looking better, because it really isn't that often you actually get to utilize your plane's capabilities no matter what plane you're flying. Now, the Armament is why I actually wanted to play this plane again. I had a couple people tell me that since the missile buff, the R-24R is kinda nasty. Now, originally I was using pretty much only the R-24Ts because I always hated fumbling with radar control, and low-key still kinda do. Whenever I'm playing with radar missiles, I tend to focus way too hard on locking people and not really looking around me, making sure the missile hits and stuff. It's really stupid, but for some reason I can't wrap my brain around using radar controls and not dying. There's no in between for me. But regardless of the skill issue, I was pretty much using the R-24Rs like 90% of the time. It wasn't until nearly the end of getting the gameplay for this video that I used the R-24Ts instead, and honestly I kinda wish I was using them the whole time because I like them better. But since I did use the R-24Rs more, I'm gonna talk about them a little bit. So the MLD has this MTI radar mode, which from my understanding is kind of like pulse Doppler, but kinda not. I don't know, it works pretty well though. It doesn't seem quite as chaff resistant, but nonetheless I was finding success. Typically, if you're the type to take those jousting matches, you normally win. However, I try not to take those if I don't have to. If someone's flying directly at you from like 5 kilometers and you fire off an R-24R at around 4 to 6 kilometers, there's very slim chance they're going to escape that. Now, if you were using the R-24T in that same scenario, all they would have to do is flare and that missile will go straight for that flare. Oh yeah, one more thing about the R-24R. Sometimes if the player you're shooting at is really low to the ground and you are also really low to the ground, it seems like the radar will want to lock directly below the plane instead of on the plane itself, causing your missile to miss. This happened to me a few times and it was a little bit frustrating, but all I have to do is just not fire when the radar lock is below the plane. And then of course the other downside of the R-24Rs is you can't really fire rear aspect shots reliably. Sometimes you can, I've done it a couple times, but ultimately I just don't find it really worth trying. The R-24T on the other hand, you can fire from all aspects no problem. And the beauty of the R-24T is that it won't ping on the enemy's RWR because it's of course not a radar missile. And of course you can use the IRST, which is just kinda cool. With the R-24s out of the way, you also have the option to carry 4 R-60s. At least that's what I elect to use. I believe you can also take 2 R-13s, but I'd rather just take the 4 R-60s, which of course they're R-60s, you guys know how those behave for the most part. But for those of you who don't, R-60s are kinda weird. They pull very hard, but they eat flares like crazy. They're also quite short range, which not many people like. But of course it really just depends on whether or not the person you're shooting it at is paying attention to you. But that's basically top tier in general. You also have a Gish-23, which is a fun gun to use. It's hard to aim, but when it hits, it absolutely hits like a train. Alright, hopping into a match, we've got a sunset map, which is going to make things a bit finicky, as I'm sure you all already know. Not being able to spot people who are like 3K in front of you is very nice. Above me and in front of me is this dot. I have no idea what it is, but I lock him up and realize he's actually within R-24R range. Missile makes its way there, and that's going to be a kill. Continue to try and find some more of the enemy players. Can't find anybody until this guy pops up right in front of me, who, like, literally right in front of me, and I couldn't see him. I don't see anybody else around, so I do the biggest brain move ever, fully 180 for him, and then fire an R-60, but an F-14's missile connects to him before my missile gets there. Unfortunate, but no big deal. Continue in the direction that I was originally going, trying to scope out some players. Eventually I spot somebody, assuming he's making a bombing run on our base. lock him up, shoot off another R24, and then right about the time when it connects, I realize it's not even a player. A little frustrating, but whatever. Look behind me and realize there's a couple of enemy planes who just killed my teammate, and now would have been a great time to use that other R24 that I just shot at the AI for this EJ. Thought the other plane that was over there must have RTB'd or something because I didn't see him until I pitched up for the EJ, and then realized it's an MLA who is like 1.5 kilometers from me when he got spotted. Another MiG-23 shows up as well, shooting off a missile at me, but all I gotta do is flare that. And now I've got the wings fully extended, and all I gotta do is hold my elevator key and hope that they don't know they can do this. As I'm getting this turn going, I notice an afterburner down in the distance, then realize it's the F4, shoot off an R60, and he's not even spotted, but that is going to kill him. Roll out of the way this other MLD, and he's going to overshoot. Pull a little too much elevator to miss a shot I definitely should have hit. Steadily behind him now, but my teammate comes and cleans him up, but that's okay. Look over to my right, and out of nowhere we have another MiG-23, this time an MLA, and a Mirage 2000 to deal with. Realize I have one of my teammates here, so that's a little bit better, and as soon as he flies into my screen, I notice a J7E as well. I'm thinking, wow, I'm totally boned, which I kinda am. Realizing I'm in a pretty bad spot, I'm kinda gonna try and extend away for a bit and get some speed and kind of rethink what I'm about to do here. J7E fires a PL5 at me, but all I gotta do is flare that out of the way. He turns off of me and goes for my teammate, which is the cue for me to turn back around. Kind of forget about the MLA, but then I see a missile diamond, so I gotta flare that now too. So now I gotta try and kill the MLA. Just gotta hope the Mirage and the J7E kinda leave me alone during this fight. Lost J7E, but then look down and boom, there he is right below me. These sunset maps are brutal, man. MLA ends up going for my teammate again, so I'm gonna extend away and try and help out. Because at the moment the J7E is pretty slow. Oh yeah, I'm also out of fuel, which is kind of unfortunate, and I didn't actually notice in the moment. End up getting off an R60 on the MLA. He doesn't notice, so my R60 is going to connect. And at this point, I believe the Mirage 2000 actually ended up going back to his base. And now I got to deal with the J7E with literally no fuel. If I had more fuel, I'd be much more comfortable, you know, taking the sustained fight, but with this fuel load, I don't even have a choice, so that's what I'm going to do anyway. Now, it's not very often I end up being able to fight a J7E in top tier because normally I'm the one playing the J7E. So this would have been interesting if I had fuel. Now I just gotta hope he overshoots and ends up in front of my guns because I can no longer do anything but that. One last ditch effort, drop the flaps down, try and get my nose in, but he still has an engine, so there's really nothing I can do here. He puts his nose down, going under, going quite fast. I'm basically going nowhere because, of course, no engine, so I keep those flaps down. Once again, nothing. He just gotta go up and he's fine. And then here he comes down a little bit early, so he's not gonna be able to get his nose on me. I have just enough energy to stay up. He ends up in front of me, and I get a bit of a lucky kill. Now this would have been a nice little game if it wasn't for the fact that the Mirage 2000 is RTB and I'm not making it back to base. And unfortunately, my teammate is in a stock plane with no flares, and the Mirage of course has 530Ds and Magic 2s, so my teammate's kind of just done for really. Unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. Alright, I know I chose a game where I lost to showcase the MLD, but that's kind of because long, drawn-out dogfights don't really happen all that much in top tier anymore, so when I get one, I'm gonna use it. But those of you who do play top tier know that that's kind of normal. Like, I don't know how many games exactly I played in this, for this video specifically, but it wasn't that much, so I imagine if I spent a lot more time, I could probably get a better fight in here, but like, this is the longest one I had. That actually had audio at least. I had one other one, but it didn't last as long, and I actually won that one, which probably would have been better, but what are you gonna do? Anyway, the Mig-23MLD, is it still viable in November 2022? Yeah, it's still fantastic. I still prefer my J7E though I think that partially comes from me not liking swing wing jets. I don't even know why, I just don't like swing wings. I think they look kind of weird. But as far as straight up competitiveness in top tier, the Mig-23MLD is still like one of the best planes in the game. Anyway, what do you guys think about the MLD? I think it's pretty good. Anyway, that's gonna be it for me today. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.